you can't go into the self-love aspect without thankfulness and gratitude. It's like, yeah, they all belong together, and without forgiving yourself. That's all very high vibrations. What I've been discovering is that the quickest and easiest way, again, it's easier if you do it with people, the quickest and easier way is to start allowing yourself, allowing yourself to dream, allowing yourself to discover yourself, allowing yourself to find out what you truly like and what you don't like.
Hey everyone, welcome to my podcast, Fatherhood from the Heart. My name is Efrain Martinez, and I'm a father of 6 amazing children, a long-term educator, and a coach. I created this podcast to inspire and open the hearts of fellow men, fathers, and parents who want to grow and develop a greater connection with their children, their partners, and themselves. It shall also inspire in looking at the importance of our personal growth, the desire in looking at old ideas through new lenses, and the discoveries of our hidden potentials. I'm so glad you're joining me today to listen to this episode. My guest today is Aurelia. Aurelia is a mother of 3 girls, a psychologist, a spiritual advisor, and the founder of Soul Guided Healing. Already as a child, Aurelia discovered that she possessed the ability to perceive and feel into her surroundings. And for a long time, she denied and suppressed her gifts, which led her into a state of depression and anxiety. It was only after overcoming her traumas of mental and physical abuse and transforming them into frequencies of love that she managed to find a radiating joy and a deep connection with herself. With that inner love and joy, Aurelia began strengthening her gifts and abilities she had kept hidden for so long. Today, Aurelia helps and accompanies all those who are looking to heal, grow, and discover their greatest potentials through her soul-guided healing course. In this episode, Aurelia will speak to us about the power of love, gratitude, and forgiveness, 3 incredibly important and powerful tools on our path of growth and development. So let's jump right in. Hello, Aurelia. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for taking the time to being here and to speaking with me. I'm so excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for inviting me because, I already know a little bit the subject and I find it really, really important to talk about it.
We've known each other for exactly 25 years. I mean, it was spring of 99 when we met. So that's just like a little marker of quarter of a century. Our paths then went separate ways, and that we didn't have much contact until recently, where I started just becoming aware of your work that you've been doing, your work, your energy work, your healing work, which I find incredibly inspiring. So I invited you today to speak to us a little bit about self-love. And self-love, for me, it's a wonderful subject. It's such an interesting subject because for so many years, I had the wrong idea about it. When people spoke about self-love to me, I just had that strange idea that self-love was something that is selfish to have. I thought that the only way and the only expression of love would be the one that you have unconditionally for your children or for your partner or for the people around you, but that you could not do it for yourself. So that is something that I know it's a weakness of mine, and that's where I feel like I'm not deserving of it. And it's only been fairly recent that I started discovering just how powerful love, self-love is. So I've invited you to come and speak. You're an expert in that field, and I would just love to hear more what you have to say, your discoveries, and your work.
Thank you. And yeah, it is a very, very important subject, and especially what you said, the selfish part and the unconditional part, because those are 2 things I think that are really misunderstood in our society. So regarding unconditional, I think we need to start redefining what does it actually mean, unconditional love. If we use that word, and a lot of people talk about it. So what does it actually mean specifically? And because it sounds so beautiful. I've got a couple, I'm with my couple, I got married, and we have unconditional love. And I find that most of the times we confuse unconditional love for actually not being able to say stop, not being able to have healthy boundaries, not being able to actually love ourselves because we think it's selfish. Does it make sense? So on that, I always invite people to really question, what does it actually mean, unconditional? And do we actually need to redefine that? And second, that being selfish with self-love is also misunderstood, because you think in that moment when you take time for yourself, especially parents, that you take away something from your kids. Yeah, you take time away from your kids. You focus on yourself. Whereas actually, if you take care of yourself, you're in your best, highest identity, in your best energy. And only in that moment, you can actually really start to talk about unconditional love. You can't talk about unconditional love or love at all if you are vibrating low, if you are not at your best. So
It's a little bit, just to use a picture. Isn't it a little bit like when you're in an airplane? They always explain that if something should go wrong, God forbid, that you put the mask on yourself first before you put it on your child. Wouldn't you say it's similar with the love? We need to be able to give ourselves that love first before we can actually give that love to our children.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because, okay, I'm seeing that I'm going very deep into it. But on one side, I think it's important to start being true to yourself. I mean, again, what does it mean to love yourself? Yeah, that to define really that, because that is, if you don't start defining what you're thriving towards, then you're actually paddling towards a destination that you don't know where you're going to. So what does it actually mean to love yourself? And I don't think that we're going, or that we humans are capable to 100% love ourselves. It's a process. Yeah, it's a constant process, because the more you grow, the more you get to know yourself, the more you can love yourself. You can't love yourself if you don't know who you are. So it's a parallel thing. It's more about, I think, for me, to be aware that I need to grow, or that I want to grow, that I'm striving to become the best I can be. And in that process, I can strive to become the best mother I can be. Do you see what I mean? You don't need to fully love yourself before you can love your children. It's a process. Yeah, it's like step by step, you start to know yourself. And step by step, in the process of knowing yourself, of daring to really figure out who you are, you start to deepen the relationships with those around you. But that is an endless process. It's not like you're finished at some point. So the love goes deeper and deeper and deeper towards the others and towards yourself.
So it happens at the same time. One complements the other, would you say?
Yes. And children teach you how to love yourself as well. You know, by them, actually, the children are unconditional. So by their unconditional love, you can learn from them. So it's more like, it's not linear. It's more like, a flowing river, you know. It's like, it's moving. It's always, if you let it be, and that is actually something very important, if you let it be a process of expansion. Yeah, where it just starts growing, and you don't expect to be at a point or at an end, or, because you can't finish. You always will find an aspect of you that you are still learning to love. And that's the beauty in it.
That's
It might not
beautiful.
seem,
That's also a
yeah, it
beautiful
might not,
picture. Yeah.
yeah, it might not seem at first, but if that's our society. Our society always wants the finished product. It always wants the perfection. It always wants the end of something. And that's just the way to become unhappy. That's it. It's not reality. It's not the life. Life isn't like that. Life is a process.
So, how can you help people to find that connection, that love to themselves in a healthy way?
In a healthy way. How can, well, what I'm figuring out through all the people that I'm working with and through my own journey is, in German, you call it the Seelengeführt. And it means that you're guided by your soul. And on one side, it's very important to reconnect to what your intuition, but your deep, deep intuition tells you, which is your soul, your higher self. And that's very pure. And in the healing process, I find it the same, that we need to reconnect to that higher voice in us that will tell us which step comes next. So a lot of people hear, now I need to heal. Now I need to love myself. And then they go and buy a book and start working it really dryly. But maybe it's not right now the right thing for them to do. Maybe they need to actually do something else. And I see a lot of people trying to figure it out cognitively. Society tells me in order to get a partner, I need to love myself. So I get a book and start loving myself. You see what I mean? And we need to start listening of, okay, who inspires me? Where do I resonate on a very deep level? And that is your next step in order to heal. That's your next step in order to grow. And go from there. In regards of following what your soul says or trying to follow your true inner path, I figured out that some people, for example, need right now a lot of spirituality. Yeah. And then they go on a spiritual path in order to find themselves on some levels. Other ones need a more cognitive approach for a period of time. And then they come to spirituality, or they combine. What I'm trying to say is that I had times in my life where, let's say, one method, one aspect like Baron Katie saved my life. And then on another time of my life, I dived completely into spirituality, and that saved my life. Again, on another point. And so I don't like to say there is the right way for you to do it, because that's just not true. Everyone has their own path in life and also in healing. So I think everyone should really look. There is so much out there. Look, okay, what resonates right now with me, and start from there. And then next step, what resonates now with me when I've learned that, and keep going. And I see that with all the people I work. I mean, they started maybe with a traditional therapy, and that helped them out of the major crisis. And then life went on, and then they thought, no, now I need something deeper. And then they came to me. It's, yeah. In that regard, it is, yeah, you have many, many stories where you see that different paths on different times of your life give you that what you need.
Mhm. What made you want to become a healer? What inspired you? What motivated you to take on this work?
Well, I wanted, of course, to understand myself.
Mhm.
And, mind you, though, it wasn't so much understanding me. I think from a very, very young age, I love to observe people. I love to figure out why they do what they do. And I've been thinking about that actually yesterday, because since I'm born, I've got, I'm very highly sensitive. So I've always felt so much more than people talk about. And so the words that they usually said didn't match with what I felt, what I kind of sensed, what I saw basically as well. So that kind of course, when you from a young age see that what you feel and observe doesn't match with what they say, it triggers you, you know, you kind of want to understand what's going on there. So that was on one side. And on the other side, I've been surrounded, since I was little, with a lot of sadness and a lot of, how do you say it in English, without hope. You know, life was, it's now meant to be hopeless. It's now meant to be how it is. So we better swallow our dreams and just make the best out of it. And I was always a dreamer. So I felt from a young age that can't be it. I couldn't understand why people would swallow their dreams and be willingly so unhappy. Like, it's a choice they make. They make the choice. There is no option for me in life, and that's it. And I mean, I grew up as well, I think like you, in a poor country. So seeing those two life extremes of rich and extremely poor in front of my doorstep, and talking to a lot of poor people, they had given up. They just, they gave up. A lot of rich ones as well as the poor ones. And I kept on dreaming, and I kept on wondering, how can I contribute to making people happy? What can I do so that they start dreaming again, so that they follow their dreams, so that they feel what they want truly in life? Because I always sensed that they were telling me they were telling me stories, you know, they weren't telling me the truth. I had so many encounters with people where they told me, I'm deciding this, or I'm going to do that. And I felt, no, that's not what you want. You're going against yourself. You're clearly making a decision against yourself. So because I was so sensitive to that, I always wondered, how can I help people to bring them back to themselves and make the right choices for themselves, and not steer away from happiness, steer away from what they really truly want.
And that led you to then developing this program of yours, the soul guided healing. Is that correct?
Well, I started off, of course, because I am also born in a society where a lot of constructs are. So I studied psychology and clinical psychology, and started working in that field. And I realized, well, a lot of people keep on going back. There is like a loop. It doesn't help how it should help, or how I imagine that it should help. So I started to develop my own thing. And now I found a way of teaching people the quick way back to themselves. And that is something really, really exciting. There are methods that really teach you how to cut the crap, how you say, and to really go straight forward, you know, to not start going again 1,000 ways, but to really release yourself from all the constructs, from all, from the, as well, wounds you carry, the traumas that you carry. Really kind of break free from that and start following what's truly you.
So can you give us a little bit of a preview of what that work looks like? without going into
The
like personal therapy here, but like some steps that maybe also people can practice to reconnect with themselves, reconnect with the heart.
that well, the program I can't really go into deep. It's more the practice in it. It's what I can say is that there are certain steps, for example, like being thankful, but most of us don't go deep into thankfulness. We haven't grasped the meaning of thankfulness. But thankfulness in its deepest is a tool that moves mountains. It how do you say, it breaks through the negativity of life. Like all of us, I mean, if I doubt something, if I go back into my negative spirals, then I use thankfulness, but at its deepest intense level, and that is something where people stop. They don't go
What
really
does
deep.
that mean?
Exactly. What does it mean? It means that you sit down, for example, or you go for a run, or you do something to release those negative emotions. So you become active. You become the boss, the leader in your own body. You don't let those emotions take over, but you decide, hey, I'm responsible about my energy. I'm the only one that can actually guide the energy up or down. And if I feel that I'm going down, then I don't just sit down and watch it going down. I start to be active. I go for a run, I go for a swim, I actively dance or sing or something, and then I go into my mind and I find all the things that have happened today for what that make me feel thankful, but I don't say it, I feel it. And I don't stop till I don't truly feel it. And I mean that kind of feeling where your body starts to react to it. Yeah, you get goosebumps. And that's practice. Yeah, the energy, you feel really like a buzz going through your body when you start opening your heart and really, really go into that thankfulness. Before that, you're not thankful. You say it, but it needs to arrive in your body. And in that moment, when you really go into that deep practice, practicing every single day, 1,000 times practicing it, and your body starts reacting, then you start releasing trauma. Then you start changing actually the chemistry of your body, because then you exchange that negativity energy, you start to exchange with a positive energy, with a high vibrating energy. But people usually stop, they make their list maybe once a day at night, and that's it. No, you have to do it when the feeling is there. You have to become active in your own life. If someone says something stupid to you and it triggers you, notice and act. And that's training. That is training. It's a lot of training.
So just taking that as an example, so you're triggered with something and then you take an action, and what is that action? That would be something that makes you feel comfortable, going for that run, going for that walk, going into nature. Uh, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, and then change your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the trigger, there are
Mm-hmm.
triggers that come up. Let's say you're triggered in the parents field. Yeah, there are so many. One huge problem in between us, especially, I don't know how it is with men, you probably can say then more to it, but in between women, we compare each other. Yeah, so that mom looks at 7 o'clock in the morning beautiful, and yourself are hardly brush teeth, completely overtired. Everything has frustrated you already at 7 o'clock in the morning, because everyone is late, everyone is shouting, whatever. And then you arrive at school, for example, and you see that beautiful dressed mother, everything looks perfect and yourself feel like a complete mess. So you're triggered. Yeah, and that's one kind of trigger. And your day is done, because then your brain starts going, oh, I'm the worst mother. And, my kids always are shouting. It's always a mess. And then you go into that downward spiral. So with those sort of triggers, what I'm doing, and that is probably the best, how do you say? Yeah, the best way I know by now to deal with it. I look at that woman or that person that triggered me, where, of course, jealousy comes up. You need to know what sort of feeling comes up. And I think, well, she triggers me. Yes, I would like to be that. I would like in the mornings to look that way, to feel that way, that everything is great, to have the feeling that the morning went easy, because that's what triggered me in that moment. So I say, okay, I pull that positive energy towards me and say, okay, I take an example and I will try it myself as well. How can I learn that? And then I go active and look, how can I get myself to that point where I actually want to be? Because that's a sign. I want to be there. I want to be that kind of person that, looks good in the morning. That would be a trigger where you feel jealousy or envy. And then there are the other triggers where you get reminded of your past. Yeah, where a wound gets touched. I mean, I come from the trauma area, so when a trigger comes where it's actually really reminding you of your past, then I let those feelings go through me. I become very compassionate about myself. I try to really go into deep understanding about myself. And here again, the best tool, and that's what I teach my group, the best tool ever I know is to go into forgiveness to myself, not to other people. To really start forgiving myself for holding on to that pain, for thinking less of me, for doubting myself. Whatever the feeling that comes up, I try to go into that. I do a Ho'oponopono with myself. And whoever doesn't know what Ho'oponopono means, is the strongest healing tool to really go into deep forgiveness. And those people that might listen to it and don't think much about that, it has been scientifically proven that it changes your chemistry in the body. Like it's amazing what it does. It really moves mountains when we start to truly forgive. And I would always start to forgive myself before, in those. It's a very, very deep healing process.
Yeah.
So you see, it's not white and black. It comes one trigger. It is more the process of finding out in which direction that trigger goes, and then having certain tools to deal with that trigger. So sometimes forgiveness is the path, but sometimes it is also the path to say, okay, I'm not in my highest self. I want to be there, but I'm not there yet. So I use it as a challenge to get myself where I want to be, and everywhere I see a trigger and I feel jealousy, I go, yes, that's my way. That's where I want to be. And I get to know myself better and become closer to my dreams, what I want. So instead of rejecting all those people and talking bad about all those people, I use that energy, and kind of say, okay, that's a cool energy. She got there. So how did she get there? I pull it and then I move forward.
Of course, you'd have to be, as a person, be able to recognize that first, because otherwise you go exactly the opposite way, wouldn't you say? Because then you just spiral down into negativity and judgment and frustration.
Yeah, and that is the first thing where one needs to really start working. To learn there is that sentence, you are not your thoughts. Yeah, so everything you think, it's not true. It only becomes true if you believe in it. And it's a very common thought, but when we really start thinking about it, yeah, we start taking less serious what we think about ourselves. So that is the first step, really learning not to spiral down and not to take your thoughts so seriously. At the same time, validating your feelings, your emotions. So this is where people, I think, struggle. They want to take their feelings really seriously, but then take them too seriously and spiral down. So that is learning, and that's why it's actually very wise to get help, to really have that courage to find people that can support you in that journey, because it goes just so much quicker, that can teach you, okay, what is the balance? To strengthen your mind, at the same time start really, really feeling your feelings and resonating with them, and being kind with yourself in regards to the feelings, but not drowning in them. If you drown in your feelings, you're again in the victim mentality. You're again being, but if you start really empowering yourself, then from that level, from the high energy level, from the empowerment, going into your feelings is much easier. It's not like the feelings will take over. You keep on being, the boss, the stronger one. And that's, you need to learn that. That's a process of having to learn. There is no way around it.
Yeah, no, it's just such an exciting topic. I mean, we started out with love, and we spoke about gratitude and forgiveness. And I would say those are just like three key areas for the self-healing path.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say so?
Yes.
They all have their own vibrations, and they also correlate with one another.
Yeah, definitely. You can't go into the self-love aspect without thankfulness and gratitude. It's like, they all belong together, and without forgiving yourself. That's all very high vibrations. What I've been discovering is that the quickest and easiest way, again, it's easier if you do it with people, the quickest and easier way is to start allowing yourself, allowing yourself to dream, allowing yourself to discover yourself, allowing yourself to find out what you truly like and what you don't like. So I find that aspect also really, really, really important, to be able to go on that path of self-love, because if you don't know who you are, you will always be unsatisfied with yourself.
And the working together is a more rapid way because people support each other. Is that what you're saying? Or is
Well,
it
of course,
because there's the energy that comes from everybody together just multiplies and magnifies?
in the meantime, I think group work together has many, many aspects that make it quicker, in the sense that on one side you work with synchronicity. So in what I mean by that is that if a subject arises in one of the people, then the rest will see some reflection in themselves, even though they haven't thought about it before. So you start healing, being reflected, and getting subjects on so many levels that you on your own wouldn't have come up with. Yeah, so that is one aspect. The second aspect is the energy, and the energy level and the togetherness. Let's motivate together. And the third aspect, what you mentioned as well, which is really important, or what goes quicker, is if you start, and that's now my new way of going about it, is if you start treating self-love, all those subjects from the high energy level. So usually if you go to a psychologist or to a group therapy, everyone is down. Everyone works from the down, from the low energy base, from the fear base, from the everything is heavy, there is no solution. So there is only one person maybe in the room that tries to give hope, but the energy levels are always low. And from that perspective, change, self-love processes take ages, because you don't have the high energy in your favor. So what I do in my courses is that I elevate the energy. I teach people to vibrate really high, to already go straight to thankfulness, to deep love, generally to those vibrations. And from that point of view, which is which is actually the truth about yourself. I mean, we all actually have those high vibrating emotions in us. It's just that they've been buried. From that perspective, healing and going through processes is much quicker and much lighter, because it's not in that tension, it's not in that heaviness. It's much easier to deal with fear, with doubt, with everything. So that is now the new way that I'm doing it, and it's amazing how quickly people process and heal. It's like I'm still, wow. Yeah.
That sounds really exciting. Where can people find more about your work? Where can they find you? How can they contact you?
I think the best is through the links that we post later underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I'm a lot on Facebook and on TikTok still. So those are the main, I think, where people can find me. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we could probably speak for quite a bit longer on this subject and many more, but maybe we'll have to repeat another session to go deeper into some of the things that you brought up today. Before we end, Aurelia, I wanted to just something that I will be asking all my guests to, if you had the opportunity, to go back into your younger self, is there anything that you would like to tell her now that you know now back then?
You mean my inner child, basically, my younger inner.
Him, yes.
To be perfectly honest, I would like to have told her those tools that I know now. I think I'm teaching them my kids, and I'm seeing the results already. It is really wow. So I would have liked to know that, because it would have saved me a lot of how do you say it in English? Umwege. Yeah, going different path, and I didn't go the straight path. So all those going around in circles and circles, it would have saved me that, actually, and a lot of pain. So I would like to teach that my younger self.
And you're already working with your children on that.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes, definitely. I mean, they see my teaching, because we're traveling, so they hear a lot of what I say. They're taking that all in, and they're starting to ask loads of questions, and they're seeing me teaching those tools. And they came and said, "Mommy, is it right that you can manifest with those tools whatever you want?" And because they are also for manifesting, and you really feel better? And I said, yes. And they're trying it, and they say, oh, wow.
That's beautiful. Which, by the way, I do want to have you back to talk about manifesting at some point. That definitely is also a topic that I'm really interested in.
Yes. It goes hand in hand, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. The other thing I'm interested to hear, if you had the opportunity to hear something from your parents that you never heard, what would it have been? What would you have loved to hear from your parents that you never heard?
I would like, there are a few things I think I would like to have heard. So, I guess from my stepfather, what I would like to have to heard is, Aurelia, please never ever lose your dreams. Because I got told the opposite. I always got told, wait till you are grown up, then you will stop dreaming because reality is harsh. You have to get used to the hard sides of life. And I definitely don't want to teach that my kids. So I find that with losing your true dreams, I don't mean those daydreams where you go off escaping reality, but those dreams where I had with 11, I know with 9 it started, I already had visions, of projects, of stuff I wanted to create in life, and they were really realistic in a way, really defined. So I communicated them, and then I got laughed about, I got told, oh, come on, stop dreaming, Aurelia, that's so unrealistic. So I would have wished they would have saved me a lot of pain if I would have been taken serious about my dreams, about my visions, about my what I really wanted to do in life. So that I would have liked to hear.
For sharing that. What do you do to stay connected with yourself so that you all have enough to give to your children?
That's a really, really good question. I need a lot of introspection, so I need time to process things, which then brings me back to me, to myself. And from there, I then can go and be very present with my kids. What I'm realizing since we started traveling, the other thing that I had lost is joy. Like true joy, having fun, like really just silly fun without meaning, without any purpose, without anything of that. And I'm realizing that having a lot of fun with my kids as well reconnects me with myself. So a lot of times I don't need that time apart to reconnect, but actually do something fun with them and then be recharged as well. So I guess it's both, both things. On one side, a lot of fun, and on the other side, time to process, mainly to process all my thoughts, all my new ideas, all my new discoveries about myself. And I guess it's that really starting to observe yourself, to question yourself, to push yourself, that connects you with yourself.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today, Aurelia. I hope that we can do that again. As I said, there's so many topics that out of this alone could just provide many, many more podcast topics. So hopefully we'll have another opportunity to speak soon about some of these things.
Yes, that would be really lovely. Yeah, I would love to.
All right. Thank you so much.
And thank you
soon again.
Everyone for listening. Bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listening to today's episode. What an incredible conversation it was. I feel so inspired and motivated through Aurelia's words to keep doing the work. If you want to learn more about Aurelia, her soul-guided healing program, and how she can support you, you can click on the links in the show notes below. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to my website at www.fatherhoodfromtheheart.com. There you can find information about my coaching offers and approach. I would be honored to accompany you on your path be it on your own or with a parent, with your partner, daughter, or son. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast. Then like, link, and share this episode so that more people can hear, learn, and grow from the wisdom of my guests. I would also be incredibly grateful if you could rate and review the podcast so that it can grow and reach more wonderful people like yourself. I will end the show for now, but remember to be kind to yourself. Until next time, I say goodbye and send love and gratitude from my heart to yours.